Gonna start this off. Welcome to the show.
It's not
Bunch of fucking bullshit.
It's not
Shut up!
turntablism.
I hate you so much.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Dude, I fucking hate that. Welcome you all. Welcome you all. Wonderful, gorgeous, beautiful people. It's great to be here. It's a snowy, chill day in Montreal in Canada. Quite fucking mellow, and I am into it. Okay, great. The audio is recording. Great. Welcome to Things I Hate 22. God damn it. I'm all fucked up because, like, over the holidays, I put, like, when I did Ashley Logan, we recorded on a weekday. So it made me be ahead of schedule. So now, like, the episode that's dropping today, I recorded last weekend. So I'm ahead now. And in terms of topics, I'm double ahead because the last guest I had on, Ricky Frischman, shout out to Ricky Frischman, he talked so much about his fucking boring ass life that I didn't even get to get any of my topics. So, fuck that guy, but also just kidding, because he was a great guest. So thanks, Ricky. That was pretty fun. So I'm backed up in topics. So these are all the topics I was going to talk about last weekend. And then my whiteboards that I used to write down my dumb thoughts are filled up to the brim with other stuff. So fuck, dude, I have so much material. It's like, Jesus Christ. Material. It's a bit of a strong word. Okay, cool. Great to be here. Firstly, I'd just like to say, if you don't follow me on TikTok, I'm having a bit of a moment on TikTok. I'm blowing up just a tiny little bit, enough to get some attention. And it's been kind of wild because I'm really not used to online attention, and now I'm getting like strangers from just like the internet that are checking me out and giving me really nice praise. So thank you very much, everybody who's found me online and, is like, hey, I really like your show. This is great, blah, blah, blah. I've heard some really nice things from people. So thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. It means a lot because, like, the only people who have told me that I'm funny are like my friends, and then they usually follow it up with like, but you fucking suck or something like that. So it's nice to have validation from like an outside source or like a third party. So it's really cool. People have also been hitting me up to come on to my show, which is crazy because I have like 60 YouTube subscribers. All right. It's like, whoa. You want to come on Things I Hate? Ooh, that's a pretty big billing, you know what I mean? But it's very flattering, so thank you very much. Really appreciate all the love and support. Honestly, there was a guy who hit me up, and it was kind of an odd interaction, and I might talk about it later, but it was just a bit an odd interaction. He was like, oh, I want to come on your show, but I have nothing to offer. I don't have a platform, blah, blah, blah. And then I kind of almost had him on because I thought this is kind of a weird interaction. It'd be cool to like talk to this guy. But then I just felt really weird about it. Felt really uncomfortable. So if you hit me up to come on my show, I'm not going to let you on. So, sorry. But c'est la vie. But regardless, it was really flattering of that guy to ask that because it's just like, dude, he was so into it. He's just like, he wanted to come on. And people have been like, dude, you seem really down to earth, blah, blah, blah. So just thank you for anybody who says anything kind, any comment, any like, any upvote, share, whatever the fuck it is. Just thank you. Thank you for interacting, and thank you very much for supporting. I truly appreciate it. Enough of that fucking bullshit. On to some other shit. Well, actually, I do have a one more TikTok to share. Well, actually, I have some couple things to say about TikTok. First of all, I have a goal for TikTok. I really want my voice to become a TikTok audio. I don't know, like, a famous audio that gets shared around and like reused for memes and shit. I would fucking love that. And I think I want it to be like me getting mad at something, you know? So I don't really know what yet. I don't know if it exists in the Things I Hate archives, you know, the perfect clip of me freaking out or something. But hopefully I can like do a bit or talk about some shit and I'll just get like so angry and then somebody will clip it. So if you listen to this show and you're trying to find a TikTok audio, dude, see if there's something useful in here. Don't force it. You know, if it's shit, like don't make a meme that's shit. But if you find some good audio on my site, you know, or not on my site, on my fucking shows, tee it up. So that's my goal. For my TikTok homies out there who are on TikTok, what the fuck is the deal with the TikTok tagging, right? You put an at somebody, and then it pops up that fucking obnoxious search screen, and then you have to search for the person and then push on their name? What kind of fucking bullshit is that? Why don't they just do it like every other fucking platform where when you write it in to the fucking text area, it populates a menu beneath it? What is it? Is it some kind of like, you know, Chinese thing where they have to go to the app screen because that's how they're tracking our data, you know, the search screen, I should say. I don't fucking know. It's a, you know, TikTok, sketchy China. I don't fucking know, but it's so weird. It's like the app is like pretty much regular, you know, in terms of tech in all of the fields, except for this busted ass tagging method. I don't get it. It's so fucking whack. Word. Decor update. I forgot to talk about this on the last episode. Well, now 2 episodes ago, but look at this beautiful fucking thing, right? Pretty great. It says something in Jewish. I don't fucking know what it means. Not in Jewish. Wait, Yiddish? I don't fucking know. It's fucking whatever the language that Jewish people speak. That's what it is, okay? Yiddish. It's not Yiddish. It's whatever. I don't fucking that language, whatever the fuck that is. It says something there. I don't know what it is, but I just really like. I really like fabric art. I think it's really cool. Like it's like, I don't know if you can see, but it's like fabric. It's really nice. And I got this other beautiful thing. This is a old bag of rice that my rice came in, and I just thought it looked cool, so I put it up. I feel like it gets a good little, you know, what's it called? Collage of items back here. I'm going to try to keep populating it with the background so you guys have something interesting to look at instead of my dumb face. And, oh, what's this, Tom? A new prop on your table. Is that some kind of rock? No, that is bread that I tried to make. And it is heavy as fuck and roughly hard as a rock. And in fact, I can only cut it with a wood saw. You know, So that was my failed attempt at bread making. It was pretty rad. I think I'll do like a bread making retrospective one of these episodes. I don't know, but it's so thick. It's like, you know, it's fucking tough. Anyway, little props, little decor for you. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I've been fed a lot of lies in my life. And the biggest lie that I've been fed is that frosh is fun, is a good time, right? If you don't know what frosh is, then we are of different demographics. If you don't know what frosh is the, like, I don't know, 2-week long kind of welcoming party that universities throw for undergrads coming into their first year. And I'll just kind of speak on my university experience. So in high school, like I was really depressed from about, I don't know, 15 to 20, you know, maybe 21, somewhere around there. Around 2021, it's turned around and I went on kind of a more upward climb. But from 15, it was like down. It was not great. And so I just like, I was not in a good place. But like regardless, I was not in a good place. And I think a lot of kids also, like teenagers, are in that same kind of space. You know, there's so much bullshit you have to go through as a teenager. You have to like, you know, girls, guys, sexuality, blah, blah, blah. And then also you're getting your life kind of thrust upon you at graduation. And you're like, okay. And everyone's like, okay, what the fuck do you want to do now? And you're like, what? I just lived in a box of rules for the past almost 2 decades. And now you're telling me I have free will? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy. And especially like especially for people like me who, you know, had a harder time in high school, didn't have the chance to develop a lot of like self-esteem or like self-confidence or like a sense of self for who they are. And it's it's just like, and even fuck all that shit, just for people who are kind of like introverted, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just a lot. Like you show up on the first day of fucking Frosh, right? I remember, what am I trying to say here? It's like, yeah, university, bro. Yeah, so you leave high school and then, let me just gather my thoughts, okay? I'm a little bit frazzled today with all this TikTok shit. Oh my God, I'm a little bit, you know. You leave high school. Now, after high school, you have to look after yourself totally. So if you were like pampered and spoiled like me, this is like, excuse me, what? And I was pampered and spoiled in the home sense, where it's like my mom did my laundry and like cooked my meals and all that shit. She just really took care of me, right? Pretty regular, but you know, it's just like it's a luxurious upbringing where you don't have to really do anything. So it was kind of like that sense, but it was also like my dad filled out my university applications. So in terms of administrative sense and like all this little pieces of life that you need to know about, you know, like going to the doctors and keeping all your forms and shit, bro, you know, I have never thought of that. And I had never thought of that in my life when I left high school. Now, when you leave high school, you hit university, it's all about forms and fucking filling it out, blah, 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 you know, and being organized and going to the correct thing on time and all this shit. So you have to do all this stuff, which is kind of just overwhelming. Then you have to like manage your laundry, which is just like, I had not done my own laundry, you know, when I lived at home ever. My mom always did it. So it's like, oh, okay. Which again, this stuff isn't a big deal. But the fact is like, because you have to take it on all at once, it's fucking overwhelming. So you get to do your laundry, the administrative shit. You have to do your school, right? Which I was a kid in high school where it was not that hard. I could just kind of pass high school, you know. I never remember like really, not not trying, but just like, it was never like, oh man, like I really got to study, you know, otherwise I'm not going to understand this. It was always kind of like, okay, yeah, I got it. The most homework I remember doing is like just practicing math, where I would just like do the calculations again and again and again. But it's like it's not like I got stuck, you know. I would just like do a lot of them, so I got used to them. You know what I mean? So it was like high school wasn't too easy. Now you're in university. I was in electrical engineering, which is fucking hard. And so not only that, you have to now manage this school, which is on a whole other level, because especially for the STEM classes, which doesn't make any sense, but especially for the STEM classes, so much of it is self-directed learning, which is fucking ridiculous. If anything, the STEM classes should have more hands-on teaching, because the concepts are so fucking, they're so much harder. And don't give me, you know, fucking art is just as hard. No, it's not. It's not that art is, the degrees are are easier to get. It's just, you don't need to understand as many like complicated concepts as STEM. You know, you don't have to learn about thermodynamics and like how the fuck, you know, electrons spin around a nucleus or what. I don't fucking know. I failed out, you know, So it's like in arts degrees, you learn about writing and forming an opinion, which could be, you know, debated to be more important. But in STEM, it's like you got to learn all these concepts and then apply them. It's difficult. So it's all this self-directed learning, which again you know, through high school, it's all like hand holding. And so you got self-directed learning, which is like brand fucking new. You got administrative bullshit, which like, excuse me. You got laundry, right? And living on your own and taking care of yourself. You got cooking for yourself if you're not on res. And even if you're on res, it's still like, anyway, you got all this shit. Then on top of that, you are living with people you are living with people your own age, right? And they are all going through the same shit. Like, dude, I can't believe there's not like a fucking catastrophic accident every year at every res in every country. Like, it's just like, looking back on it, it's just fucked, you know? And you have all this shit going down, all these people, you have all these emotional, like, mental health issues because, you know, nobody, like, in high school, if you go to therapy, you're a fucking weirdo, you know, like, it's terrifying to go to therapy. So no one is addressing their mental health issues in high school. They're bringing all that fucking baggage to university. Barely anybody is ready for this because you're coming out of high school, you're so fucking dumb, you know, you haven't thought about your life, you don't know what the fuck is going on. If you're a lucky kid and you had a good high school, you have a sense of self and you know who you are, it's a lot easier, right? And a lot of people love university, but me, oh my God, dude, it was just fucking brutal. So I'm in my room in university, right? Like, all this shit is going through my head. Classes haven't even started yet, so fuck all the self-directed learning shit, but I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm looking at these papers and it's like 3 sheets of paper, right? It's like, don't forget to, like, go here on this day. And the other one is like, here's what you need to know for first day of classes. And the last one is like, oh, here's what living in res is going to be like. Something like that. And I'm looking at these 3 sheets of paper. I'm like, oh my God, like, look at this fucking shit. This is overwhelming. I'm looking at it like it's a fucking encyclopedia, you know, because I just never dealt with this shit before in my life. So you have all this shit. It's just overwhelming, right? I'm sitting in my room. I'm like, what the fuck? Where do I go? I don't know. My roommate shows up. I live with a roommate, you know, and he's like, what's up? I'm from America. I'm like, America? What? I don't know any Americans, right? I'm like, what? What? You're from where? He's like, I'm from fucking Maryland. I'm like, Maryland? I don't even know where that is, right? It's just all these little things, and I'm just freaking out, right? And then it's like, and then they're like, okay, you got to go do your laundry. There's coin-operated machines. And I'm like, a coin-operated laundry machine? What the fuck is that? I don't know what that is. I've never used, what? A loony? I don't have a loony. You know, and it's just like all this shit keeps piling up. And it's like, did you buy your books? Buy my books? Like, don't they just give them to you like at high school? You know, I just start freaking out, you know. And then in the midst of this, like, fucking freak out mental breakdown, you know, in the midst of all this stimulus, they're like, go show up to the fucking quad, you know, it's Frosh, show up to the quad. And you show up to the quad, or whatever the fuck it's called, I don't know, like the main area, who gives a fuck? You show up to the main area, and there's all these people that are your age, right? And you're looking, but the people your age are are the ones in charge. And you're like, wait, what? Like, shouldn't there be like a teacher or something here? Like somebody over the age of 40 to be like, okay, now we're going to go here. Like, I want to see somebody wearing glasses so that I calm the fuck down. Instead, you just see a bunch of fucking like crazy ass motherfuckers in engineering, and I think in a lot of campuses they wear those jumpsuits, those mechanics jumpsuits, because it's like, we're engineers. Anyway, they wear those fucking jumpsuits, and they're like yelling at you, and they're like, hey, get the fuck over here, we're gonna go drinking, you know, and they're like get in the line and like pile up, you know, and like go over here. And you don't know anybody. Like, you don't know fucking anybody. If you're lucky enough to go to university with some of your friends, great. But I went with a couple of my friends, but they were all in different faculties. So I was fucking on my own. So I'm on my own with a bunch of fucking engineers. So it's like all dudes, and it's all like it's all like nerdy ass dudes who just like are like, hey, like, what are you doing? Oh yeah, cool. Like, what are you doing? And so we're all just kind of like piled up in this quad area, right? And there's like these fucking people with jumpsuits and they're yelling at us. And then this one dude in a jumpsuit, he's like kind of like the leader or whatever. He comes around, he's like, hey, like, what's your name? And he's going to people. He's like, what's your name? And they're like, oh, my name's Jim. And he's like, now you're fucking like jack off Jim or something like that. And I'm like, oh, what? And then he's like, turn around, jack off. And then he turns Jim around and he has a huge fuck off Sharpie marker. And he says, right, jack off Jim on the back of their thing. And I'm like, what? What's happening? Why is that guy jack off Jim? I don't know, right? And then they're going, what's your name? My name's Edward. Well, now you're fucking ass-eating Edward, you know? Like, just, and it's just, you know, they come to me and they go, what's your name? I'm Tom Murphy. And they're like, now you're Muff Dab Murphy. And I'm like, oh, I don't even know what that is. You know, I think I had sex like one time. You know, fucking too bad. Now, look, a lot of people as I'm explaining this are probably like, dude, that sounds like a fucking sick time. And yeah, it would have been sick if I wasn't fucking reeling from unaddressed mental illness in high school. And also, like, I wasn't a diehard introvert. You know what I mean? Like, I live alone. I like to be alone. I'm a loud guy, but really, I like to be alone. Okay? I don't like crowds. I fucking hate lineups. I'm not into this whole shit. And I know for a fact there's like a fuck ton of people who are feeling the same way. So I know for a fact that there were a lot of people that day that had a great time. Woo, frosh. There were like a lot of people who were like, holy fuck, I'm having a panic attack. So now they're like, Muff Dab Murphy, bitch. You know, I'm like, fuck, please. And they're like, let's fucking go. We're going drinking. So the other thing too, so I went to McGill for my first time at university. And I go to McGill. I'm from Ottawa. Ottawa is like, even local Ottawans call it like a big small town, because it is. It's not. It's kind of just a city, barely. You know what I mean? It's not really. We have like a couple blocks of like city, and then it's like it just like looks nice, and it's like suburbs, and not suburbs, but just like, oh, like cute. So it's like a big small town, and then I come to fucking Montreal. There's homeless people everywhere saying wild fucking shit. You know, McGill is downtown. There's French people everywhere. There's fucking Italians like yelling, and there's fast cars and all kinds of drugs. It's just like a city, you know? McGill, when we're on the quad or whatever it's called, I feel kind of safe. You know, it's a nice park. I'm used to greenery from Ottawa. There's a lot of greenery, and I'm chill. Kind of. Except for the Muff Dab Murphy bullshit. And then they're like, we're going to go on a pub crawl. And I'm like, what? Excuse me? What the fuck is a pub crawl? I don't know what that is. I don't know those words, you know? I don't know what that is. And I ask, I'm like, what's a pub crawl? And they're like, it's when we crawl from pub to pub and fucking get drunk. And you're like, Jesus Christ. Because first of all, crawling from pub to pub is a graphic imagery, right? You crawl when you're a child, when you're an infant, because you don't know how to walk, right? You crawl when you're injured because you're unable to walk. Crawling, God, that implies, you know, incapacitance. It implies, you know, injury. It implies like degradation. You know, it's just we're gonna fucking crawl from pub to pub, and you're like, Jesus Christ. And again, strangers all around me. You know, I got a couple thousand views on TikTok. I almost had a fucking breakdown. How do you think I feel with like strangers just packed in around me, sweaty, right? So just putting the pub crawl on a break. Now, the other thing too, as a guy, is like, well, maybe not all guys, but me, I still feel, but now I'm like, no, it's bullshit. But I felt a huge pressure to fuck, to be a ladies' man, right? To get girls. You feel I felt a lot of pressure to get girls so that you're cool, so that you're not a loser. You know what I mean? And it sounds so corny to say, but it's definitely still a real thing. You got to get laid so you're not a loser. And if you're not getting laid, you got to make sure that girls are into you at the very least. So on top of all this fucking anxiety breakdown shit, now, you're out in the bars and you're with all these other girls. And there's so much pressure at Frosh to have sex, right? 'Cause everyone's fucking at Frosh. Everyone's fucking. So I'm like, oh my God, everyone's fucking at Frosh. I got to get laid. And I'm on my own. I'm on my own just dealing with all this shit. And it's just like, dude. And then I would hear people talk about Frosh like later. And they'd be like, wasn't Frosh the best? And I'd be like, oh yeah, like 100%. It was great. I loved it. It was just brutal. So we're on this pub crawl and they're like, we're going pub crawl. So now, little kind of essentially small town me, anxiety me, introvert me. I'm in my fucking jumpsuit. It says Muff Dive Murphy on it. They're like, here, take this plastic cup. And when you take this cup, you can get free drinks at every bar. So now this is even worse for me because now I'm with a group that is like sticking out, right? Because we're going to regular bars that are like have other people in them. It's not just Frosh people. It's a lot of Frosh people, but there's other people there. So now, and they're like, we gotta fucking sing, and they're like making us sing songs as we march down the street, and I'm like, I don't want to sing these fucking songs. Because it's obnoxious to be like, on fucking street. Like, I don't know. Call me a fucking grouch, but whatever. It's fucking whack. I don't want to sing a song. I think that's fucking lame. I don't want to sing a fucking lame song walking down the street in a stupid ass jumpsuit. I'm just not into it. Like, sing this song, and I'm like, like singing the song, and then like, now you got this drink, go to the bar and get a free drink. So you got to go to the bar and like get a free drink, and it's so obvious that the bartender is just like not into it because I'm sure no bartender wants to fucking serve these piece of shit drunken, like essentially teenagers, their first drink and watch them get, not essentially teenagers because you're like 17, 18, 19 when you go first year. So these teenagers, their first drink. And it's like all Anglophones, and you're in Montreal, and it's like these fucking Quebec bartenders don't want to fuck with you. So anyway, you're like, get a free drink. And I'm like, I don't want to do that because I'm already a fucking obnoxious cunt in my big, huge, stupid fucking jumpsuit that says Muff Dive Murphy on the back. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? So get fucking drunk. And now then you get in the bar, you get your drink. And then it's like you just kind of sit there and drink with strangers. And I'm looking around, I'm like, I don't know any of these people. I don't want to talk to these people, like I don't fucking know them. And it's just like, what are you supposed to do? Like going out to bars and drinking with your friends when you know them because you can have some nice chats. And maybe now because I'm like not a total fucking idiot and I've addressed some of my mental illness, I could go and like have a good time with these strangers and be like in the moment. But the thing is like a lot of kids when they go to university, they're there just because their parents want them to go, and so this idea of Frosh and like celebrating, it's essentially Frosh is like the celebration of a new like joint adventure with you and everybody else who wants to go to university. But the thing is like, if you're not sure why you're at university, or, even if you know that you don't want to be there, the celebration of starting it is not something you look forward to. It's fucking anxiety inducing, crazy. It just makes you feel like a weirdo because you're not having a good time. It's fucking brutal. So anyway, yeah, Frosh is just fucked. So, I've been fed a lot of lies in my life, a lot of lies, but the fact that Frosh is fun is definitely the biggest. Oh my God. Okay. So then I was talking to this friend of mine who also flunked out of McGill. What's up? And dude, fuck McGill. Okay. McGill is a piece of shit. I'll tell you why. Because it's a great school academically, but, and obviously I'm biased because I flunked out, but like it seems to me like they really don't give a fuck about the mental health of their students. And I say that because I noticed in I think my first year, maybe second semester, I was like, wow, I'm pretty fucking depressed and feel really crazy. So I'm going to go to the mental health clinic and, check that shit out. So I show up in the mental health clinic. It's like full because everybody is like depressed and stressed the fuck out, right? I take a number, which, I get they're busy, but that always feels good when you have to take a number for a mental health thing. So I take a number, I sit down, I wait. It's finally my turn. I get into the office. I go in. There's an older white man there with white hair and glasses. And in my mind, in my memory, he barely looks up from his desk. Did that happen? I don't know. This was like 10 years ago, so it's foggy. But I'll tell you how, in my memory, he barely looks up for his desk. He goes, "What's wrong?" And I'm so timid, right? I'm terrified because I'm fucking, I'm so scared. I don't know. I'm terrified of everything at this point because everyone around me is getting drunk and fucking and having a good time. I'm like failing school because I can't focus. All this shit's going on, and I'm just looking for solace. I'm looking for somebody to just be like, dude, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna help you out. You know what I mean? That's what I'm looking for. That's what the mental health clinic should be. I get in my memory, he barely looks up. He goes, "What's wrong? Like, what's going on?" And I go, "Well, sometimes, I'm so timid. I'm just like, hey, like, yeah." And he's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, sometimes I feel kind of like fucked up in social situations, and I just feel like messed up a bit, and I just don't know how to handle myself sometimes when I'm around other people, and it just feels really weird." And he's like, "You have social anxiety." And then he's like, "Okay," he's like, "Read this. Goodbye." And I was like, and I was just so relieved to put a name to what I was going through, even though it's not fucking social anxiety, you dumb cunt. Anyway, but it's like, he's like, "You have social anxiety, get out." And I was like, okay. I was so relieved. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. It just feels so good to have something like a name to put to this. And he was just like, like whatever. He didn't give a fuck, man. So it was just brutal. And I talked to this lady, this friend of mine, and she went through like almost the identical process. And I think it was the same guy. So fuck that guy, and fuck McGill, mental health clinic. Whew, dude, I feel like I hope I didn't ramble too much there. But anyway, I'm getting my bearings a bit. I was really shook up by that TikTok shit. So, normalize clothing repair. Bro, that's pretty much it. Don't buy new shit. You have your favorite piece of clothing and it rips. Dog, don't throw it out. Don't get rid of it. Find a tailor near you. There's a ton of them. They're usually in like strip malls or like little holes in the wall. Just Google like tailor. Go get that shit fixed. Go get that fucking hole in the crotch of your pants fixed. Go get the fucking holes in your t-shirt fixed. Go get that shit fixed. Okay, normalize clothing repair because it's good for the environment. It saves on cash, and you keep all your old cool clothes. And also, a lot of times when you fix them, they end up looking cooler. So normalize clothing repair. Also, if you don't know about tailoring your clothes, do that. Go, if you have a thing that doesn't fit you very well, go get it tailored. It's cheap. You can get a pair of pants tailored for like $20 and they look mwah. So normalize clothing repair. I'm trying to bring back tailors because I was like, dude, I want to get my shit fixed, but sometimes the only tailor nearby is like kind of a mission. So it's like, fuck. So I'm trying to normalize clothing repair so we get more tailors, less pollution for clothing. You have cooler clothes. They last longer, blah, blah, blah. On the same note, buy a drying rack. Drying fucks up your clothing. And I'm only a recent convert to the drying rack. Shout out to my homie, he knows who he is, who converted me. And I had until recently I had like a collection of t-shirts that I really liked. About 6 months ago, I started to notice they started to get all holes in the back of the shirt, like near the neck. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And it's just dryer wear. So the dryer just fucks your clothing, right? It's like all my t-shirts now, they look like Swiss cheese because there's all these fucking holes in them. So get a drying rack. It stops your clothes from shrinking, and it'll make them last way longer. Good for the environment, good for your wallet, good because you get to keep the sick t-shirts that you love. So there you go. Pro tip, normalize clothing repair. Get a drying rack. What up? Oh. I got a fucking message from Environment Canada, and it was like, snowfall warning. I'm like, oh no. You know? Like whoop-de-doo. Fucking cold water, like soft water. You know what I mean? Like a snowfall warning. Like, who gives a fuck? You know? It's not like it's hail. It's not like it's gonna fucking, oh God, fucking snow. Oh God, it hurts. You know? No, it's just fucking snow. Just stay in your house and then wait till they shovel it away. Because like you give a warning for like a tornado. Anyway. I wrote stop eating bugs because in my house, I think because I have plants, I have these like little tiny like gnats, little tiny like flies. They're tiny. They're like, I think I talked about them already. In fact, I might have talked about this, but like they're like the size of a period at the end of a sentence. They're very small, like the size of a breadcrumb. You know, I got fucking crumbs from my rock of bread. They're very tiny. And that they're kind of annoying because they fly very sporadically like this, and you can't hear them, but they sometimes enter my vision and just fuck around in my face, and I'm like, oh. So they're hard to hit because anytime you move your hand, it creates wind and pushes them out of the way. So instead of doing that, sometimes I'll just suck them up into my mouth and eat them. And I was doing it. And then I was like, there are no consequences to this because I don't care about eating bugs. It's fine. It's like a bit of protein, whatever. And, you know, then it solves the issue. But then I thought like, wait, probably bugs have like dirt and germs on them and like gross shit. And I probably shouldn't be eating them so much because I was eating them a lot. And I was like, oh man, what if there's some like diseases on this? So then I was like, oh man, you should stop eating bugs. And I just thought to myself, like, man, at 29, I'm kind of surprised that I have to tell myself to stop eating bugs. So yeah, don't eat bugs. See what else we got on the jabroni. My neighbors are playing some music. Hopefully you guys can't hear it. Either way, it doesn't really matter. I wish I could hear people I didn't like talk shit about me. You know, you're hanging out with your friends and there's some fucking cunt that maybe he's like an acquaintance and you're like, fuck that clown, you know? And you're like, that guy's a piece of shit. Or maybe he's like even kind of a friend of yours and you're like, fuck that guy, you know? And then you talk shit and you're like, dude, he's such a fucking cunt. I can't believe he like went to the store and bought that thing and then brought it to the party. Like, what a fucking asshole. You know, you just say some shit like that. And like, or like, you know, you talk about his character. You're like, dude, he fucking always shows up late. He's such a cunt. And I kind of wish that I could hear people talk shit about me and be like, I don't know, be like, the fucking arrogant piece of shit. Like, he's got this stupid ass podcast. Like, I just think it'd be fun, you know, to hear what people said about you. Now, having said that, like, again, like 3 people on TikTok were like, I don't really like this guy. And I almost had a fucking meltdown. So, you know, I'm talking a lot of shit, but it's like, I don't know. I just think that'd be kind of cool. Be a fly on the wall. Like, if you heard people that you didn't like talk shit about you, it wouldn't really matter because you'd be like, fuck that guy anyway. If you heard your friends like talk shit about you, probably heard a lot more. But like, if you heard like some fucking clown, you're like, that guy's a piece of cunt or a piece of shit. And then he was like, yeah, well, fucking Tom's a piece of shit. Like, I just thought that would be cool. Sometimes people will adopt stupid things as their personality. And they get really attached to these things, even though the things are not a personality. They're like some aspect of life. For example, maybe you have that friend or you know that person that likes to ask you fucking dumb questions like, Have you ever thought about how all food is either a soup or a salad? And then you'll be like, what about pizza? And they're like, it's a salad made of bread, cheese, and meat. And you're like, you're a salad made of fucking dumb pieces of shit, you fucking idiot. That's just such a fucking, it's such a stupid question because it's the people who ask, it's not even like the question that bothers me. It's the people who ask questions like that. You know, have you thought about this? Or like, do you think hot dogs are sandwiches? It's like, I don't give a fuck, okay? And I'm mad at you because now you're making me think about this. And what's worse, the worst part though, is that these people think that these questions are interesting conversation, you know? And they think that because they haven't taken the time to build their own fucking personality, right? Because interesting conversation is not, are hot dog sandwiches? It's what is on your mind and what do you think about honestly? And then you tell that, and then we have an exchange. And instead of taking the time and effort to kind of think about themselves and who they are, they just regurgitate this bullshit they see on BuzzFeed and then think they're fucking hilarious. And it's just the fastest way to make me want to slit your fucking throat, because it's just fuck you. It's fruit salad. Fuck it. Shut up. Fucking okay. Anyway, dishwasher things. So my homie hit me up, and he was like, "Dude, I love your show. I want to know what you think about dishwasher paraphernalia. You know," and he referenced those like dishwasher things that have soap in the handle, and then you like refill the soap handle so that you can scrub and put soap all at once. Great. Here's what I fucking think about those things. They're fucking shit. No. They're like about as good as any other scrubber. The thing is like those things are wasteful, right? Because the amount of soap you're putting on, I feel like you don't need to put soap every time you scrub. You just need to put soap first or have soapy water and then wash your dishes in it. So you're wasting soap. I would bet you burn through soap using those things. The other thing is that like the way they're built, the handle, you can't get it into glasses all the time. So sometimes that's tough. But overall, I don't really mind them. They're still kind of like a useful tool. They're just a bit wasteful on the soap. Here's my thing about scrubbers in general is like, dude, I always try to figure out ways to like have zero waste and non-reuse. And what I'm trying to do now, what you can do is you can actually grow your own loofahs. So you grow like these plants, and then when they dry out, you can use them as scrubbers. And it's like no waste, no plastic, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, they're very difficult to grow. So, you know, the scrubbers, they're all kind of the same. I gotta be honest, homeboy, I don't think too much about them. That guy, she's a bit wasteful, that one, you know, so maybe switch it up. But I'm trying to get on the loofah train and grow my own loofahs and get that going. Oh man, okay. So some drama in my D&D group. I had to leave it because whenever I played it, people were taking too long in their turns, and I was getting too fucking impatient and really pissed off. So I had to take a break from D&D. So we were playing D&D one night, and this happened, right? The homies I was playing with, they were taking too long. I was getting really mad. I got really fucking mad. I had to stop playing D&D. My night was fucked up. I was just like pissed off. I was storming around my house. I can't fucking believe this fucking bullshit. Blah, blah, blah. I go to bed. I'm fucking exhausted. I'm all fucked up and angry. I barely fall asleep. I just kind of finally settle. I get asleep. I wake up a couple hours later to this. I wake up to I'm like, what the fuck is that? And at first I think there's some kind of construction or some shit. And then again, it's like, like that. And then I'm fucking groggy. And then I hear like this, Now, okay, this is not, I don't know if I'm doing it justice here. It was fucking loud. Okay, what's going on is my neighbors are fucking, and the headboard is smashing against our shared wall, and it's just bam, bam, and I can hear each individual thrust, and it's just like, dude, like, can you really not be such a cunt? So anyway, so then I have a terrible night. I'm fucking pissed off because of D&D and the fucking guy, and then I go to confront the guy the next day, and I'm like, dude, just don't fuck. And in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna like get angry and fuck this guy, whatever. But then I show up, you know, I can't be angry. I'm not an angry guy, so I'm like, says the things I hate, but I like to be polite. So I show up and I'm like, hey man, you know, like just to let you know, like you were fucking pretty intense last night. And he was like, at first he's, you know, I showed up and I thought it was gonna be like kind of embarrassing for him because like I caught him fucking, but then of course I realized that we're dudes. And I realized that if you confront any dude about the fact that you heard them having sex, they're not going to be embarrassed. They're going to be like, yeah, what's up, dog? Like, I fucking lay dick, you know. I put down pipe. What's up? And that's what happened here. He did that kind of fake embarrassment. He's like, yeah, sorry about that. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I couldn't even front. Because from the way I heard it, he was giving that good dick last night, man. He was like, it sounded good, you know what I mean? It sounded like steady, rhythmic. The girl sounded like she was having a fun time. What the fuck do I know, though? I'm not a woman. Who knows? But anyway, so that was kind of funny. I just realized, like, anytime you call a dude on hearing them fuck, they're going to be like, yeah, you know, sorry about that, but, like, I was getting it done. Anyway, similarly, I was planning a D&D session, and this fucking piece of shit friend of mine, he goes... I'm like, how about this date? And it's 2 weeks out. He goes, I can't commit to something 2 weeks out. Fuck you. What? How old are you? You can't commit to something 2 weeks out. What? How do you live your fucking life? You know what I mean? It's 2 weeks, bro. It's, you know, am I a piece of shit? Am I fucking OCD? No. I don't give a fuck. It's 2 weeks. Just be like, yeah, I'll be there. It's like, you know, how do you deal with dentist appointments or like anything ever if you can't commit to something 2 weeks? I was so fucking furious. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You can't commit to 2 weeks out? Especially because like for this party that we're running, I'm the dungeon master. And the dungeon master, you know, I'm not going to get into D&D, but like in D&D, there's players and then there's the dungeon master. And the dungeon master essentially has to create a world and like write a story and like do a lot of work. And the players just kind of show up and play. To be a player is way more chill than to be a DM. I'm the DM. So I was like, I'm doing all this work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, how about this date? And he's like, I can't commit to 2 weeks out. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I do all this fucking work and you can't commit to a time? Bro. So, you know, no fucking wonder I'm taking a break from D&D. Anyway. I wish my dad spent less time explaining how engines worked and more on the genetic mental health disorders that we have. Right? Like I remember my dad, he would take all this time and he'd be like, you know, he would like teach me how to mow the lawn. He'd be like, now this is how an internal combustion engine works. Which is like, bro, A, I don't give a fuck because now I have the internet. So, and B, this is sick. And sure, thank you. But, you know, I feel like more heads up on the depression and anxiety that were like just barreling towards me in my teenage years. Like I would have appreciated a heads up to those instead of, you know, do you know what a fucking spark plug is? It's like, I don't really care. And I have more pressing issues, namely this cloud of mental health issues that is just about to crash down on me. So anyway, I love my dad. He's fucking fantastic. My parents are great. But, you know, just pro tip, if you're going to have a kid, less on mechanics of lawnmowers, more on this is how you handle anxiety. There you go. So... So, so I'm in a frat, right? And when I was rushing the frat, which again means kind of like trying out, when you're rushing the frat, you like go to the parties and just like see how it feels, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the parties are costume parties. And my cousin was rushing the frat at the same time as I was. And he the party theme was jungle theme. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The party theme was jungle theme. And so we had to think of costumes. And it's like, bro, we're not going to go to the fucking store and like get costumes. We're just going to make up something, on our own. And this was kind of before cultural appropriation and like the Halloween costume shit had kind of hit. So, that's a heads up as to where this story is going. It's not too bad. We didn't do blackface. So just, put your fucking guns away. But it definitely was on the fucking borderline for sure. So just like kind of a precursor, like in a lot of my relationships, like my friendships, I'm kind of the idea guy, like I'm like, oh, we should do this. So like, we'll do this and we'll fucking make this happen. It'll be good. You know what I mean? And then I kind of, a lot of times I'll like bring my friends along for the ride, and like, I'll make up an idea and then usually people will be down or like they'll have suggestions or whatever. So we had to go to this jungle party. And so we were at my aunt's house and I had brought some things from my home and we were like, we got to scrounge up some ways to do this. So we found like a pair of binoculars and like a flask. And I was like, oh, I'll be like an explorer, like a jungle explorer guy. And now we need a costume for my cousin. And I'm like, fuck, what are we going to do for my cousin, And I have a poncho that I got from Ecuador. It's cool. It's a really cool thing, And I'm like, oh, well, I think, I've seen native South Americans wear ponchos. And I'm like, oh, and then, I feel like in National Geographic too, we have that fucking eye, like the bar of makeup that goes across the eye. It's just like a straight bar. And I'm like, dude, that's easy. It's just two things. It's the eye makeup and the fucking poncho. Blah, 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 blah. Easy peasy. So I'm like, boom, 2 costumes. Now, in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, even though this was before the kind of cultural appropriation shit and before that kind of came out and before people were aware of it, myself included, I was like, this costume is kind of intense to be like a native guy. Like that's kind of, I was like, in the back of my head, I knew that. In my conscious brain, I was just like, these are great. But I was like, but I'll give the native one to my cousin. I'll let him take that one because then he can take the heat if anything goes down. You know what I mean? So we dress him up. So I get in a regular explorer costume, pretty chill. And then I'm like, oh yeah, come on, buddy. Like, this will be great. We get him dressed up. We put the poncho on him. So he has only poncho, moccasins, and the fucking eye things. The fucking eye makeup, like a band of eye makeup. We just use like my aunt's, I don't know, black makeup. I don't fucking know. And we go to the party. Now, look, first of all, and he was like, as we're dressing them up, he's kind of like, I don't know about this, man. Like, I don't really know if this is a good idea. And I was like, oh, dude, it's fine. You're gonna look great. It's gonna be great. So for one, first of all, just, apologies. It was wrong. Cultural appropriation. I know it was wrong. That's kind of the funny part of the story. Not the fact that we did it, but just the fact that we didn't really realize it. And then I made my cousin do it. But it was wrong. So I'm sorry. And, I take responsibility. It was my costume suggestion. But anyway, so then we go to the party. Now, not only is Austin's costume like PC borderline, and we're at the frat party, which is like all white people. I know, it's classic, whatever. We show up at the party. The party's in the frat house that I was at. The frat house gets so packed. And the thing is, what they do is they put insulation on the windows so that the sound doesn't get out to disturb the neighbors. So it becomes a fucking sauna. And it's like everyone is sweaty. I'm surprised there weren't more orgies, honestly. It just speaks to how boring Ottawa is. Like, there should have been just piles of people just sweaty and fucking every night. But, whatever. It's Ottawa. You get what you take, You get what you, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Anyway, so it's just a fucking sweat box, And the poncho I have is wool, and it's warm and thick. And I'm in like regular clothes, but I tell to my cousin, I'm like, don't worry, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. He's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I might be too hot. I don't know. I'm like, no, you're gonna be great. You're only wearing a poncho. It's just a poncho. That's all you got on. You know, and you got some like boxers on. You're fine. And he's like, I don't know. I'm gonna be hot. No. You're fine. You're fine, buddy. You're fine. We go to the thing. We get in. You know, we're milling around. It's fine. We start to drinking. More people come. It gets hotter and hotter, right? I go fuck off, do my own thing. You know, I come back, I take a look at my cousin. He's drenched in sweat, sweating profusely so much the makeup is streaming down his face. He's like, but he can't take off the poncho because if he takes off the poncho, he's just in his underwear. So he's like, I fucking told you it'd be so hot. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that was pretty great. So shout out to my cousin, you fucking piece of shit. I was washing dishes. I was going to wash my dishes. I pick up a dish that I had left out for a long time. All this stuff was hard, crusty, you know, tough to clean. Then I picked up a dish that I had just eaten off of, cleaned it, you know, one go, barely even had to scrub. And I was like, what a metaphor for life. If you get on the shit ASAP, it's like 20 times easier than if you have to wait and do it. Because really, when you put a dish down, you're waiting out of laziness. You're like, I don't want to do this now. I want my life to be easier. So you put it down and leave it. But in your lazy effort to make your life easier, you actually end up making it harder. So interesting metaphor. Recycling edit. Last episode, I just talked, I said about how the recycling icons don't actually mean recycling. To be clear, the icons on plastics that look like recycling icons that have those 3 arrows and then a number in the middle, 3 arrows in a triangle and a number in the middle, those are not recycling icons. Those indicate the type of plastic that is used on that container. Only of those icons, there are 7 of them. There's 7 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 1 and 2 are recyclable. So I just want to make it really clear, even though that's a bummer, still recycle, because some recycling is better than none. So definitely still recycle. Just want to make that clear. Last thing, shouldn't be embarrassing to talk about your salary. Normalize talking about your salary. Salary secrecy is a fucking agenda pushed from corporations, executives, to stop people from making sure they get paid fairly, including women, including all people. So don't normalize discussing about your salary. I'm still terrified to do it. I'm not great at it, but I'm trying to do it. So it shouldn't be a weird thing to talk with your fellow employees about your salary. It shouldn't be weird to know your boss's salary. It shouldn't be weird. It should just be transparent. So normalize salary discussions. Okay, I was kind of nervous on that episode because, now people are coming from TikTok. They're watching. I'm like, oh my God, I hope I'm still funny. You know what I mean? So I'm scary. But you know what? Even if today sucked, I'm just going to keep doing my thing. I'm just going to keep going. I hope it was funny today. I don't really fucking know. Every time I make an episode, I'm like, that's a piece of shit. And then people are like, oh, that was really good. So I'm hoping today will be the same thing. Anyway, again, to all the new listeners, thank you very much. To all the new subscribers, all the follows, blah, blah, blah. Thank you very much. Any kind of support on this show means a lot. So thank you very much. I love you guys a ton. Stay tuned for a potential double episode this week so I can clear my whiteboards and start fresh next week. And stay tuned tomorrow for episode 21 of Things I Hate with Ricky Frischman dropping. Okay. I love you guys so much. Goodbye.